All right, next project, clutch. Clutch is, I have no clutch, nothing. So I've already opened this, I did it off camera. It was disgusting, almost no fluid, super low. I cleaned it out, vacuumed it out, wiped it out, filled it with clear new fluid. Still nothing at all. So we're gonna rebuild this today. To take it off, we need to undo the banjo bolt, undo these two Allen wrenches. I've got new fluid in it, which is gonna come pouring out, I suspect, so I'm gonna get a rag to catch the fluid, and then we're gonna go from there, and we'll do it on the bench. All right, let's undo banjo bolt here. I have no idea how much fluid's gonna come out when we do this, but we're gonna find out. Maybe so much goo that it's all stopped up. Yeah, I got nothing dripping out of it. So there's your banjo bolt with the hole in it. A little bit of corrosion, but it's roughly clear. I'm gonna put this together with these two crush washers, unless new crush washers came with the kit, we'll see. But that's it, no fluid came out, which says to me that this is gonna be disgusting. Let's undo my two Allen head bolts here, hex head bolts here, and the whole thing will come off. One. The second one, the cap. Now, this bike has cruise control. So I think there's a cruise control switch on the bottom. Two electrical connectors. Oh, now we're getting fluid when I tip it. All right, let's look at these fittings, fasteners for the electrical. You got harsh light. I'm just gonna put a little coil on. It's not gonna make much of a difference, but we're gonna do it anyway. And we're gonna try. It doesn't like that. Let's try this one. That one is good. So we'll take that connector off and replace the screw. That's one of our electrical connectors. We'll try back on this one. There we go. All right, there's our, leave that there. There's our cylinder. We'll take this to the bench in better light. We'll take a look at it together. All right, we're gonna take the slave cylinder out too. So on the side, this is the left side of your bike. This is the slave cylinder bleeder valve. There is a bolt right here below it that holds this and supports this slave cylinder bleeder valve. So that's the first thing I gotta take out. Okay, slave cylinder removal. This left side, this is the bleeder. For those who know, there's a bolt that supports this bleeder. I've got it out. It's not this bolt that you can see. You can't see it. It's right behind this bracket. And it's a 10mm bolt. You got to undo that before you can get in there and unbolt the slave cylinder from the back of the engine. I'm going to get down there and show you that if I can. All right, we're under the back of the engine and transmission. This line is that bleeder line. You've got a banjo bolt up there, and then you've got 3 bolts that bolt the slave cylinder to the back of the transmission clutch housing here. I'm not going to film this. There's no way. Don't have the room. So you guys get to see this, and then you'll see it once it's off the bike. All right, there's your clutch slave cylinder. That's about as bad as they get. That is fluid that's been leaking for years. There's dirt. That is about as bad as it gets. We're gonna move this to the bench and clean it. I'm gonna get underneath and see if you can see what it looks like. I don't have good lighting. I'll get some better lighting and see what it looks like underneath. We're gonna have to clean out where this goes. It's clearly been leaking for a while, which explains why I had no fluid in the master cylinder. So this was a required service. That's it. It's about as dirty as they get. Hopefully you get a good look at it. We'll see what we can do to clean it, and we'll go from there. Yikes. All right, we're here on the bench. Master. And you see there's corrosion on the aluminum. We're gonna get this all apart. Interestingly, not a lot of fluid drained out of this, and I have this topped up. So there should be a lot of fluid coming out, so that says to me that this is all gummed up inside. Now here's the slave cylinder. You saw it outside. It is really gummed up. I mean, this is leaking hydraulic fluid for years. This is all kinds of goo right there. I'm gonna scrub at this a little bit with a bristle brush and let you see it after I scrub it. And we'll see what it looks like then. But hopefully these will be rebuildable. So here we go. Let's scrub it up and see what we get. Brass, we'll start with brass. All right, now let's look at that. So that's the oil seal for the engine case. Needs some more cleaning, but so far that looks better than I expected in the initial cleanup. I can clean the outside too. I'll do that a little bit. Let's keep going some. That's pretty good for now. Let's see. Let me tap, 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 tap. So that came up pretty far, huh? Almost out. It's going to come out. We're going to tap on blocks of wood around the ears here. Let's do that. Got a couple blocks of wood, and we'll use the ears, and we'll see. There it goes. It's out across the floor. So there's our inside. We'll get you. There's the cup. The seal. That's the oil seal on the back side. We'll clean all this up, clean that up, see what the walls look like in a minute. Spring. So let me work on cleaning up, and then we'll bring you back. All right, so I've done a little cleanup. Here's the inside. I think that's good enough for what I'm doing. It cleaned up nicely. It goes on the bike like this. That is the bleeder off the top. That is our banjo bolt in. So that is as clean as we're gonna get it. It is smooth as could be. It has some discoloration, but that doesn't matter. Here's the cup with the old seal. I just sort of buffed the outside of it. I have cleaned this up. I've got a new oil seal. I've got a new cup seal. They're coming next, but this is now as clean as I'm gonna make it. You reuse your bleeder. It was fine. It has a little O-ring to keep dust out. That does not come in the kit. I have flushed this out. I have flushed the bleeder tube out. New spring comes in the kit. New dust boot comes in the kit. We've got K&L kit. There's your number, 32-0150, which worked for me. Or I believe it works for me. Let's go ahead and see what's inside for everybody who's excited about this. So inside I have spring, I have new cup seal, I have new dust cover for the bleeder, and I have new oil seal. So we'll look at these compared to what I have. Cup seal, look at the difference in the in how much that flares. That is impressive. We will remove and replace that one. Spring looks identical to me. This one, however, has more spring to it. Dust cover is universal, so I don't care. Doesn't quite cover as much, but that's fine. Oil seal in the back looks right. let's start popping these off and see what we get. Start with cup seal. Let's get under here with a pick. Might need a little cleaning underneath it. Probably will. Needs a little bit. So there's our old cup seal. Let's do a little buff under there with some Scotch-Brite. Let's see what that looks like. Looks pretty good to me. I'll spray it off with some brake clean. My new cup seal will go on there. I'm going to brake clean that off here for a second. Doused it in brake clean, a little bit more Scotch-Brite work just to make sure I'm clean, and then I'll get a clean rag and really clean it all the way. That looks good to me. Set that aside. Let's look at, well, let's look at the other side. We got the oil seal, huh? Can I pick it out? Let's try. Maybe we need something a little bit beefier. All right, so here's our oil seal. We're going to try a screwdriver, see if we can pry it out with a screwdriver. In my soft jaws here. There we go. Out. Ooh, that's really dirty. That definitely needs some cleaning, so we'll work on that. You can see the back of that oil seal is pretty nasty, so let's clean that. All right, so we're cleaned up. There's the seal out, and that's as clean as it needs to be for our purposes. Let's do that seal first, because that one's the least important seal. Here it is. This is the oil seal for the clutch actuating rod. I'm going to go dip it in some brake fluid, some nice clean brake fluid before I set it in place. Push it in with my thumb. That's all it takes, and it's done. No brake fluid on this side when it's working, but it's a fine lubricant for what we're doing here. I don't want brake fluid in the engine, but that's all I need to do, just to lubricate it while I pushed it in. Now, next one is our seal here. Let's look at our side-by-sides again. Old cup seal, new cup seal. You can see how worn out the old cup seal is. So we're gonna dip that in the hydraulic fluid, slide it over, and that's it. It's on. Ready to go. Nice. Fine. Now, next spring. Easy enough. That's our new spring. Ready to go. So there, we're all assembled. The only other new thing is our dust boot. So now we've got our slave cylinder all cleaned out, all flushed out. Let's put some brake fluid in it. New brake fluid. Let's swish it around everywhere. Let's run it out the bleeder. And there, that's all lubricated up. This is all lubricated up. Let's put that together. There's a nice ramp, on-ramp here for that seal to squish together. And that's it. We are together. We're rebuilt. We're ready to go back on the bike with the banjo bolt. Let's take a look at our banjo bolt that came off of it. I've had that soaking, the banjo bolt over here, soaking in brake cleaner. This is it. I'm going to spray brake cleaner through it. I'm going to brush it up a little bit. And then we'll have the banjo bolt. I'm going to reuse the crush washers. Some people are going to yell at me, but that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to make sure everything works on this bike before I spend lots of money. I get crush washers are cheap, but that's what I'm doing. All right, master. We'll see. This one's got more parts to it. We'll see what's involved in getting it taken apart and put it together. I had, as I said, I had opened this. These are new screws. And I opened this and put new fluid in it. So let's see. None of the fluid is draining out, not in any appreciable way, which gives me a little pause. But I have a feeling things are going to be pretty gooey. Let's take the cover off and check and see. So cover as expected, reinforcing plastic. This I've all cleaned because I've been in here. Here's the rubber seal. I've been in here full of fluid. So we are full of fluid. That is the float Honda puts a float in their Masters for reasons that I don't know. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but they do. So they have this little float, and there is our nice clean fluid that I put in there. So let's get rid of that. So I had already wiped this out when I tried to get a clutch up on this thing, and I cleaned it. There is a little metal tab under here. This part, which I don't fully understand, but Honda puts that right on the inlet orifice. So we'll set that aside. I've already cleaned that. So now what I haven't done is I haven't gotten into the piston part, so that's our next step. I'm going to sort of wire brush a little bit on the outside, just take some of the little crust off, then we'll start taking this apart. Okay, so dirt and crust, we're going to clean all that. I didn't clean it perfectly the last time. I've wire brushed it, got almost the corrosion off. I am not repainting it. We're going to take this lever, bolt out, and pull this apart. Dust boot's torn, just on initial inspection. We definitely know we have that. But otherwise everything looks, you know, as expected, pretty normal. So let's crack this open and we'll see what we have. Everybody can complain about me using the wrong tools, which I will. Because I happen to have an adjustable wrench here right now, which is not ideal, but it's what I have, and that's what I'm going to use. Or I think I am. Yep. Nice chrome acorn nut. Now this, I suspect, unscrews. Does. I think I gotta be past the threads now. This doesn't seem... Got a little corrosion there, but it's coming. It's wiggling. There we go. So long shank needs a little bit of cleanup. That's about that many seconds with the Scotch-Brite. That is otherwise perfectly fine. So our hardware's fine, pivot point's fine. Now we have our lever and our pin. So it's got a stop there on the bottom. And then we'll pull this out. Now that's our initial crust right there outside the hydraulic area. I think that's outside the hydraulic area, but I do have a bit of a seal right here. Got that much of a pivot point. This pin comes out of here, all gooey and dirty, so we got to clean those up. Lever, otherwise looks fine. Now, what's involved? We've got a dust cover. Let's see if we can pull that out. It sure doesn't want to come out. Now maybe it's attached to the piston. I don't know. Oh, there we go. There's some more crust for you. And depending on the lighting, you might see it. There's a circlip in there for those that can see it. Up in here, right here, and there's a circlip. So we're going to get some circlip pliers. There you go. We're going to get some circlip pliers and pull that circlip out and see if we can bash this thing out of here. All right, for all my best intentions, these fantastic Knipex circlip pliers are for engines and transmissions, and the points are too big for the motorcycle. So I had to revert to sort of old school, and I used a couple of picks. I clamped it into the vise and I pried it. It really only took me about 20 seconds. So you can do it without circlip pliers. Don't get carried away. Here's the circlip. It's fine. It's fine. So now Now we're up to the business. We got to try to get this out. So we're going to do a little bash action, right? There we go. Nothing fancy. All the way out, all the way through. That's it. There's our piston, seals, spring, a little bit of corrosion, washer, probably for the end here. Yep. And then we had this outside. So that's the whole deal. Nothing left. You can see all the way to the bottom. Needs a little bit of a scrub-a-dub with some Scotch-Brite. And that's it. That's all it takes. It's fully disassembled. So let me do a little cleaning, and then we'll come back and show you what everything looks like. All right, so our rebuild kit, K&L 324250 master cylinder repair kit. Let's take a look and see what we've got. Bagged up this one, so let me open and we'll see. All right, so what do we have? We have our main piston complete. Interesting, that's smooth top. Let's take a look. It is, that was just stuck. Huh. All right, so that's our piston. We have the spring, unsurprising. Match, again, just stuck on there. So spring. So we have that cup that goes between the spring and the piston. There we go, that's it. It's fine. Here's our main seal. Here's our main cup seal. You can see the flare on it. Let's compare that to our cup seal here. Yikesers. There is your difference in wear as expected. So new cup seal. New main retaining washer that goes under the circlip. New circlip. It's nice. I guess they expect you to shoot it across your shop. And then new dust boot for the outside. So the only thing that's not here is this O-ring sort of secondary dust boot on the outside of this piston actuator. That is not included in this kit. So when you're taking it apart, be careful. This is a little bit, it's got a little seal to it. It's got a little lip. I'd like them to have that, but it's not included. All right, here we go. Barrel's nice and clean for those who can see down there. Wire brushed a little bit more on the outside. Again, I don't care about the paint job. It is totally irrelevant to me. So we're going to build the assembly that was put together before. So it's the spring. It's a cup washer. This is the cup washer that goes on that spring. Then this piston goes on there next. Now what I have also is my cup seal. My cup seal needs to go on there, so let me get some brake fluid. Let me lubricate my cup seal and the piston with brake fluid. And this goes on here. Now this is going to be a bit of a struggle, so we're going to have to use a pick to get that around. Let's be careful, careful, careful we don't damage the seal as we pick that around. If you don't have a set of picks or something equivalent, you're going to have to get them, because you're never going to do stuff like this without it. It's a heck of a stretch for this seal to get it around here. We're gonna get it. There's halfway. There we go. That's cup pointing in the direction we want. Our new washer, this goes like that. This is what goes in the bore. This is our assembly in the bore. And then this pin pushes in here on the socket in there. There's a socket, and this is a round ball that pushes in there. Our seal that's left on this really pushes the dirt out, keeps dirt out of the bore. So we'll deal with that in a little bit. This all needs to go in our bore. So let's get some brake fluid in the bore just to do a little lubrication at the start. There we go. Spring first, piston next. Using this to push that first seal in. That went in nice. Second seal. That goes in nice. That spring is working well. Spring here at the back. You can't see it, but it's there. So our last thing is our washer goes on there. And then we got to get our circlip in there. And I'm not going to show you how much I manhandle to get that, because I'm going to have to go put this thing in the vise to do it. We'll see what we get to put the new circlip in. Comes with the new circlip. After the circlip, we've got the dust boot to force in place. So we'll deal with that next. So the circlip's in. Now we've got better light. You can see it. Circlip's in. Plunger actuates nicely. So what's left? We have the little piston pin that goes from the lever to the top of the hydraulic cylinder. It has a little rubber gasket. I had originally said it was an oil seal. It's not. It's just a cushion for the dust boot. So this goes in here, right like that. And then the dust boot goes on top of it, like that. And this goes down, and then we got to tuck the dust boot down in and around there. So we're going to do that. Tuck the dust boot down there. You're shaking. Everybody watching is getting nauseous. That's it. Dust boot's on. So what do we have left? We have the lever to put on. So I cleaned this up a little. I cleaned the little bronze or brass bushing up. I cleaned up the other parts of the lever. It has this round barrel that goes in here. This is where the other side of the piston pin rides. It has a square hole. So it rides in the piston pin, and so the underneath side, there's our stop, here's our pivot point, there's our piston, dust boot, piston pin, here's where our bolt goes to thread in there. So we had our bolt, cleaned it up with 10 seconds of cleaning before. Goes in. I'm going to go ahead and put a little grease on that real quick before I thread that in. So let's do that. So I just put a little bit of grease on our pin, on our pivot point. Don't know if it calls for it, have no idea. Ounce of prevention. It's going. Snug that up. Let's wipe our extra grease off. It feels fantastic. Let's hope it pumps some fluid. We can check it in a second. Let's put our chrome lock nut on there. So again, this threads in and stops. Tight. Chrome nut. My adjustable plier or adjustable wrench. Snug it up. That's it, I'm done. So let's see if we get some fluid moving through this. We're going to pour some fluid in. Might need to provide a little counter vacuum. Nothing yet. There we got pressure. So I needed to just put a little suction on it to make it a closed system. But now we are definitely building pressure. There's pressure. All right, we got a little prime, got pressure. We will fill this when we get it back on the bike. Pleased with that. So what do we have left? We've got this little metal tab I told you about that goes in here. Don't know anything about it. Don't know why, but it goes in the bottom. Sort of friction fit in the bottom there. It was there before, we're gonna put it back. Then it gets the float. Interesting, buddy here, we're gonna be commented, the float might be so you can see the fluid level through the sight glass. Very clever, makes all the sense in the world. Nice visual in the sight glass. Rubber seal, this I had cleaned before. Plastic cover that holds the seal down. Cover, and then 2 screws. We're just gonna hand tighten these for now until we get this on the bike. That is it. Rebuilt, ready to go back on the bike. Hopefully we'll have a clutch. We're going to hook up first the 2 switches, the 2 electrical connectors. These mount onto the hydraulic master cylinder, and they have little moment switches. Little moment switch here, little moment switch here, and they mount such that the stop lever actuates them. So we need to put them back and screw them into place. So that's our first order of business. This moment switch here. This actuates when you pull the lever. This is the one that releases the cruise control when you pull on the clutch. I think it releases the cruise control, if I have that right. I don't know, I'm guessing. Don't listen to me about that. This moment switch hits the stop here, so this one is always closed, and it opens when you put on the clutch. Either way. They both get screwed on with a Phillips screw. Only one place they can go. You can't screw it up, you can't get it backwards. That's it. Next step, fish this up under to the handlebar and mount our clamp on the back of it. Get them started. Here you get into personal preference in terms of the rotation. You generally want your hydraulic cylinder sitting roughly level. So that's what we're going to just kind of eyeball for now. Snug it up. Make sure your choke lever works. All right, last step to attack this is hook our banjo bolt back up and our hydraulic line on the back side over here. So there's our hydraulic line. I am reusing my crush washers. Again, if you choose to replace them, by all means replace them. Most cases I would, but here I just want to make sure everything's working first. I can go swap these out later. Crush washer on both sides of the banjo bolt, even if you're reusing the old ones. That's it. Boot over the banjo bolt. You can pull that back up. You can wait and see if you have leaks. You'll know it'll be under pressure, so you're going to know it. Now we are ready to top this up I want to top it up and get some fluid running down through to the slave cylinder before we put the slave cylinder on, but I do want to clean up down there first. So let's get this open, get some fluid in it, let get started. Plastic cover, rubber gasket. We can leave the float in it. It will in fact float. Handy. There we go, all the way to the top, way more than we need. Now, I see air bubbles coming up. Again, the system's open on the bottom, so I'm not going to have a lot of activity till I get that closed up on the bottom. So we're going to wait there for now. I'm going to set the cover on it just to keep dust out of it with no gasket while I go underneath. And we'll work on the underneath side.